music in general.
Music, yeah. I mean, what do you say? Yeah, that's what like. I mean, that's in a way what's been shared this morning is like that. It's like talking about music. If you stick with just the language, this communication,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
stick with the language of it, um, it's like talking about music
yeah.
as opposed to music.
I
Music that
yeah,
just fills every part of you. Uh, you know, so that's what I sometimes think of as this sharing on a conceptual level is just like that. It's just like talking about music,
yeah.
as opposed to the hearing of it
Hearing.
in a way. But that's fine as well. A lot of um, you know, the individual is like that. It just lives in knowing and concept. And this sharing now this morning, it is um, an opportunity for someone to ask a question, and that's the way it functions. People want to know, um,
Yeah,
and there seems to be an answer
yeah.
that seems to be out of me. It's nothing to do with Kenneth at all, but
No,
the amazing thing is there's for some there's an openness to what's being shared here, and that resonance is beyond. It's not actually to do with the question or the answer.
yeah. There's some lines just strike you, don't they? I suppose like some music just resonates with you. It doesn't matter what genre it might be. And one of your previous series, someone said that some things can only be described in poetry. I think you were talking about a Niels Bohr quote about atoms. He says it's best described in poetry. And
Okay.
yeah, that just kind of resonates with me because you just get a sense of it within description.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
very much so. Yeah, yeah, you can
intuitive.
it's beyond knowing and understanding what's being yearned for by the what's actually being yearned for is not in that knowing loop of the individual. So it
Yeah,
can't be spoken, and it can't be known. It can't be held. It can't be, it can't be held onto, and it can't be lost because it's
yeah,
already all it is.
yeah, yeah.
It's
One of the
and
things that really touched me, that you said it was only yesterday, it might have been, or the day before, that even the wanting, the longing is that. You know, even when you're like, what's going on? But that is it as well.
yeah,
And that is just so beautiful because you got
yeah,
nowhere to go then. You got no
yeah.
more seeking because that's it. You're there. You've done it. You've got. I've not done it, but you know what I mean. It kind
I
of
know it completely. Yeah, yeah.
the loops gone boom.
That is exactly the stunning realization that that's exactly it. That it is everything that appears to happen.
Yeah,
So the struggle, the yearning is it, confusion is it, and then that is actual liberation. Then
yeah, yeah,
is
yeah,
that the scene by for nobody that it's just energy, and it doesn't matter if it's negative or positive, or it's just energy, and that's all there is.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a lot of books for sale now. I'm going to open up a bookshop now.
Oh, good man.
Non-duality books, I mean.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Books.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, I'll
It's
unmute
it's
myself.
the most it's this communication is everything. It's everything. It's actually the only conversation, really, and it's nothing. It's everything and it's nothing. It's no thing. There's nothing at all. There's no significance, no meaning, no relevance, nothing. And it's also everything. It's absolutely stunning. And there's nobody being asked to hold that paradox in their mind or understand that or know that or anything. Nothing is needed or known or knowable. It's stunningly ordinary and obvious, too obvious to the person. Mm. There you go, Richard. You got it's that's the intro.
Yeah, well, thanks. Glad I was part of that. That was amazing.
You were the intro today. You didn't know you were going to be the intro
I
today.
didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't even know there was a meeting till this morning, really. Or was it last night? You
Well,
said.
I didn't even really know either. Yeah, I still have to kind of figure out the schedule for April. So it's when I wasn't going to have a meeting, and then you emailed me. So
Oh,
I thought,
okay.
okay, I'm gonna do on Friday. You see,
Okay.
I do the longer ones. They're about this one will be about 2.5 hours or so.
Right.
Um, but anyway, I'll put that up. I'll put up a schedule.
That's a long set.
Yeah, it's they're I like the longer ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you do is you it's about an hour and a quarter, sometimes an hour and a half. This will probably be an hour and a quarter, and you just take a break for half an hour and then another one. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
get into nothing a bit more.
Get into nothing a bit more.
But the amazing thing about this is what always really stuns me about this communication as well. It's the total agendalessness of it. I mean, there's nothing on offer here. Nobody needs to do a 2 hour, 2.5 hour Zoom meeting.
No.
I mean, you could hear a 5 minute clip on YouTube and that's it. It could be game over.
Yeah.
That's it. And I know people who've been like that. They haven't even been drawn to really even attend meetings or do anything like that. Because I mean, once it's seen, it's seen. Um, but then when it's such a there can be such a powerful resonance with it too. There can be such a draw to it. But nothing is required in that. It's so different to the usual communication, was you get a little taste of it, and then say, well, if you want more, there's I'm doing this intensive on Friday, and I'm going to Brighton, and come here, and that makes sense. But there's nothing more to this. It's very simple. It's very ordinary. There's nothing on offer, and it resonates as it resonates. It's heard as it's heard. You know.
Cool.
Yeah. So don't forget to sign up for Friday, Richard, or you'll miss out big time.
Okay. What's the signing up?
It's just a joke based on what I just said. Yeah. No, it's nothing in being everything. It's very simple, very ordinary, and yet very rare. It's a rare communication that doesn't offer you anything or speak to you and sees you only as whole and complete. And yeah.
I did have a couple of questions.
Yeah, shoot.
Well, um, I mean, I don't know if they're even relevant now, but
It doesn't matter really. Like they're not relevant, but the question doesn't matter and the answer doesn't matter. But if it's there and you can see it and you want to ask it, ask it.
I can see it because I wrote it down.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, it's about sort of like the narrative self and, that internal chatter,
Mm.
even though that might be it, or is it, or that's what's appearing. Yeah, it does get on your nerves when it's like, not what you want to hear. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's so when there's a really a felt sense of being an individual, there is this narrative that just this loop of it's kind of like your best friend. You're in a dialogue with your best friend, your most intimate best friend that's there with you all the time. You're kind of this sense of talking to yourself almost. And sometimes that is noise that comes back that you don't want. Um, some sort of um, just story that just continues to go. Usually that you're unworthy and you're no good, and oh, when you did this and you said that, and Jesus, you dickhead, why did you? It's just this. It can be quite negative, and that really is just reflective of a sense of unworthiness that is very much inherent in the sense of separation, because the individual really feel has a sense of, there's everything and there's me. So why has everything been lost? Like, why is there everything and me? And there's a huge sense of unworthiness in that little old me. And
Yeah.
so that's the dialogue that is just this uh, closed loop that goes around and around. And then when it is obviously different for everyone, some people's are quite positive, maybe, or but it doesn't really matter. That's what's appearing to happen. And then it feels so real. It feels like there's a you there that is very real. So there's a you there that made this mistake and made that mistake and isn't good enough to do this thing that you would like to do. Who do you think you are that you could do that? That's ridiculous. All of this kind of blah blah blah. And then when that sense, that felt sense of being separate, just isn't there anymore, all of that, just the volume just goes way down. It's not like that it just stops really, but it may just stop, but it doesn't matter anymore. It's the difference between you feeling that you're talking to yourself and they're just being thoughts that arise, or whatever, chatter, whatever you want to call it. It's just indescribable because it doesn't have any weight anymore. It has nobody to talk to. There's nobody to talk back to. you know it's the kind of best way I can say it. Like, that whole dialogue requires a sense that there's someone there talking. There's a sense of self that talks to itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So when there's no, that's very much then the very sense that there's sound and I'm hearing it, and there's words and I'm speaking them, and there's a chair and I'm sitting on it, and there's things being seen and I'm seeing the things. So me is just at the center of everything, and everything seems to pour through it. It just goes unquestioned then. Of course, it's me hearing the sound. Who else would be hearing it? It wouldn't be heard if it wasn't for me hearing it. That's the way it feels.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and go through all the senses and include thinking and emotion, and that's the way it is. They're my feelings. They're my well. Who is show me, who are you that has feelings? Is there just the feelings, maybe?
Yeah.
And that's then this simple suggestion that actually there is just what appears to be. So if there's nobody who has feelings, there are feelings appearing. There's nobody who has thoughts, there's thoughts appearing, and so on. And so it's indescribable then, that chatter, that blah blah blah. There's nobody there to take ownership of it, or to then it just completely dies down, and may continue in one way or another, but it's absolutely just not an issue anymore, because it's just simply another thing that appears to be happening. It has no significance, no meaning. The heaviness is completely collapsed out of it. Sometimes I talk about, some people have like obtrusive thoughts as well, or
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
don't mind the thinking. Just listen to it or not listen to it. I mean, I see it very much as a subject-object relationship. I mean, that's not to say I have, brilliant thoughts, huge positive thoughts all the time. It's
Yeah,
a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag, but I suppose I'm still aware that there's still someone listening to it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, you're well, it's just what appears to be happening,
Yeah.
and you're aware that there's someone listening to it. You are saying that you feel that there's still someone listening to it.
Yeah.
So that's all anybody can do then, is
Okay.
just say, well, this is what's happening for me, like, and it's not right or wrong. And that's what's appearing to happen there then, is a sense that there's somebody listening to it. And then this suggestion from nothing is being made, that there is just the thoughts. There is nobody who has the thoughts, or that feeling that you're listening to the thoughts is just a story. It's an artificial overlay.
I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. And even being the aware, like you're aware, awareness is just more knowing. That's all it is. It's just the individual who knows, no awareness, consciousness. It's totally insignificant.
Yeah, yeah.
And then if you were to approach this in a more from I say teaching point of view, because this isn't a teaching, it's just a sharing, you'd have any amount of teachings that would tell you then how to quieten the mind, how to distance yourself, how
Oh,
to, all of that stuff, which is kind of appealing, or may be appealing, or may not be appealing.
it
And
was.
yeah, so it struck a chord for you for a while.
Well, it did for a while, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
sat on my ass for a long time and all that, and
Hmm.
went to awareness and
Yeah.
recognized awareness and all
Oh,
that.
lovely.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's there, but you're still there. You're still, well, this is great, but so what?
Yeah, it is what it is. Like
Yeah,
some people appear to get more out of it than others.
yeah,
For some, it's like, oh my God, everyone needs to do this. This
yeah,
is amazing. I've been residing in awareness for weeks
yeah,
now, and it's fucking incredible. And people are going around like morons, and they don't realize all they have to do is reside in their awareness. And you know what I mean?
yeah,
And then for another person, it's like, yeah, I was gave it a go. It was okay. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
the
the
beauty of it,
gravitas.
isn't it? It's just one thing, it'll kind of seem explosive to one person, and then for the other, it'll be like on to the next, whatever. But it doesn't have any significance. It doesn't mean anything at all.
It doesn't ultimately change anything. No,
Oh no, well, it's simply just what appears to happen. It has no relevance at all. Any of those things.
no.
Like some people, when they hear this communication, or others who are speak um, where it's clear and uncompromising, they would feel, oh, you're reinforcing the me by doing that. Well, it's also a bit of a story, as if it's a bad thing. And whereas it's not bad or good, it's just what appears to happen. And it only appears to, of course, everything, once you feel like a me or an individual, everything just confirms that and just reinforces that, and it's a closed loop. But it doesn't have any significance at all. And it's just energy appearing as that someone who's trying to be mindfully aware, or
Yeah,
in the moment, or whatever the latest kind of language is around it, because it changes a bit.
yeah. And the
Uh,
teachers seem to like to attach meaning to it. You've found a
oh,
oneness.
massively,
You know,
yeah, massively.
found
And
God.
it's,
This is what you are God, and all of that.
of course, yeah,
Yeah.
of course. And then,
That story is quite, attractive at times, but
yeah, because it feels like the way that they are in the story. They have their books written, and they have
yeah,
X amount of followers on Twitter, and because we live in that numbers world, and sense of special, not special, there's a real draw to think, oh, this person is actually special, and they know something,
yeah,
and maybe I can have what they have. So
yeah,
if it seduces, it seduces. That's what it does.
yeah,
And then the language I mean, it varies so much. We'd be all day talking about the different varieties of
yeah, yeah,
teachings and how it's, but essentially it all boils down to somebody who sees you, speaks to you as a separate individual, and tells you what you can do to not be separate.
yeah. Quite what you
So
can do. What?
yeah, so this then is a different communication. That's the more rarer one, that just illuminates that
Yeah,
there is no you. Uh,
yeah. And how would you
there is
say ultimately, even though this says it's not a teaching, if I sat down and wrote down, which I have done, you can get kind of bullet points of teaching
Yeah,
almost. You
of
know,
course. Yeah. That's fine. You
you
could,
think, oh,
like, I,
that's a teaching, even though they say it's not. But that if you took that word, yeah, that phrase, and
mm.
just hung it there, you could say, oh, that's a teaching.
Oh
But so
yeah, I mean, the person hears what they hear, though. That's totally,
right,
so if the person sees this as a teaching, that's what's appearing to happen.
yeah.
No
I mean,
matter
I
how
don't.
many times I would say that it's not a teaching, it's just a sharing from nothing. But you see, that doesn't matter either. It doesn't matter what the individual hears with this. It's completely irrelevant. There's no significance at all,
Mm.
because there is no individual, and this isn't being spoken to an individual,
But
and the
that could be
individual
seen
can't
as
hear
some.
it. So one
That
person
could
would,
be seen as some sort of psychosis. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, someone says they're enlightened, that's almost like a psychosis. You know, these teachers, you think,
Mm,
and then you get attracted to that. Oh, you know, as you say, they've got something I want, you know,
yeah.
something I don't. And if you were sitting there saying, well, actually, there's no one here, you might very well believe that to your core, and that even might be true. It probably is true. I'm hoping it's true because otherwise I'm wasting another fucking hour. But
Ah,
but no, I don't. So I mean, you couldn't prove it. I know the whole language is dualistic, and you know, how do you explain nothing?
well, you
I,
don't, you see,
you
that's the
can't.
thing.
But
You
yeah,
don't you don't explain it. Like
no,
at the at the beginning, there's usually some sort of an introduction, which you took it today.
I
So that
tranced all over it.
yeah, you just took it off me. Um, anyway, usually what it's said is that it's beyond understanding and knowing, and it's a sharing, it's a resonance. Um, if it seems to be conceptual in that any exchange, apparent exchange
Yeah,
between people, will be heard on a conceptual level, and that's totally fine because one person is saying something that would fit into some one concept. The answer is something that somebody can fit into another set of
mm,
concepts. And so there are people who listen to this and they just stay with it on at that in that sense of just its concept, and that's just what appears to happen.
yeah, yeah,
It's all that the individual cannot do anything but turn this into something.
yeah,
The individual can do nothing but
yeah,
see this as some sort of carrot to something.
yeah.
You know,
Can
like even you're saying there, even, oh, I've wasted another hour if there's not something to this. And what's being said actually is there's no hour to
no,
waste,
no,
and there's no you to waste it.
yeah, yeah,
You know, whereas somewhere I get the sense, I don't know, but somewhere maybe what's been suggested here is resonating there. There is
yeah,
no there or here, but it's just resonating. And that's the way it is. It's so obvious and ordinary and already the case and totally known that it can be heard, and
yeah,
it can be that lived sense of separation can appear to collapse.
yeah,
But
yeah,
also there can be when people apparently tune into this and engage with this, there's often the resonance and also very much the sense of the individual who wants to know coming at you, you know, with the question. And that's totally fine because that's part of it. Is the question kind of arises, and instead of getting something, just collapses in this because there's nothing on offer here.
yeah.
And then
Well,
that there's a boundlessness to that. Then
okay, okay, thanks. One thing that kind of hangs, doesn't sit so well is that, and this is probably preconceptions of what you think would happen, because you think, well, if there's no me, then you know you think about. I know you've answered lots of questions about personal volition and you know, what you're still interested in, and I've looked at some of your old videos. It's obvious you're keeping it together. You've got a family, and you know you're doing that's still hanging together. You know you haven't thrown the towel in and you've gone on because I mean I suppose seeking for some people they can yeah, they do throw it all in. I mean, the Buddha chucked it all in and went and sat under a tree, and people go and join monasteries, and you know, wherever that seeking urges you to, you are compelled, and you know, people will spend their life's fortune on it, and all sorts of things they do for the sake of it. And but I kind of, you know, I read a lot of Krishnamurti when I was young, and I read that resonated with me when I was in my twenties, really did. Um, and there's only bits of it, but I kind of thought with the sense of me going then, I don't know what I expected, but when I hear people say, like I've spoken to Richard Sylvester and he says he still does this, he still likes that, there's personal preferences, and it seems like bits of the me, what you think is the me, fall away, and yet bits of what you think of the me stay.
yeah, but all of that is just a concept there. Like the
Yeah,
individual cannot conceptualize what it's like to not be an individual. It's totally impossible.
yeah,
So the individual, like there's some idea, and as you summed up there, as expressed by Krishnamurti and different people. So there's some concept about what it would be like to not be an individual, and it's simply just a concept.
Mm.
This is quite a shock when it appears to happen, and a lot of people talk about this, how stunningly ordinary this is, and how completely unconnected, unrelated what it is to what idea they had of not being there was. Totally and utterly, like it's just a concept. That's all it is.
Okay.
So there you go. It's like the incredible thing is that there's um there's an apparent life, right? So however you want to sum it up, some people have parents and they have children, they have a partner, and then they have a job. Maybe that job is kind of a career, maybe it isn't. And they live somewhere, or they don't live, they're experiencing homelessness, whatever the narrative is, that they feel that none of that would happen without them at the helm of that. There's a really felt sense that if I wasn't here, like the job wouldn't, I'd lose my job. Who would do, like, I'm doing everything. I'm doing the job, I'm keeping the relationship together, I'm feeding the kids, or I'm keeping a roof over my own, whatever the situation is particular to you. And the absolutely hilarious realization is you're not there. You're not there. So you're imagining what it's like to not be there. The individual, I mean, is imagining, has all these ideas, and they're not there already. It's already the case that there's no individual. It's just that there's driving the car, paying the bills, doing the job, apparently, and you then are like, you're an addition to that then. So whatever it is that appears to happen, you're being added to it.
Okay.
It's not really that you're adding because you're not there anyway. So you're not there to add yourself to it, but there's this energetically an addition, and that often throughout the day, that just is not there. There's just walking down the road or driving the car. There's not really a sense that I'm driving the car, but for some, there's just no recognition of that. And then sometimes there's a sense of this eternal boundless isness, because there's no sense of being a me, and then boom, and then there's a sense of being a me again, and then the difference is that we call that an awakening or a glimpse or something. Then that's different.
Okay. What about if you're doing something really dangerous, or something for the first time where you need like more self-awareness? Do you know what I mean?
No, the individual is just gets in the way. That's all. The individual is just hinders and gets in the way and complicates and fucks things up.
Right.
Like if you hear, let's say, something dangerous, right? Did you ever see the documentary of the guy who climbs the buildings and stuff? The Spider-Man guy, right?
No, not that
Yeah.
particular one. I mean.
So if you listen to what he's saying, it's just hand on the place where you're holding the next grip, and foothold. And he said there's no actual room for really thinking and me, and because if once that opens up, you're dead. You're actually dead. You're gone.
Yeah.
Once the kind of cogitating about, oh, I'm climbing this building, aren't I wonderful? And there's kind of a real sense of that like it's that danger. The danger of that is very, very clear, that you either just put one hand, foot, now they would feel that they're doing that, but it's actually that there's just what's appearing to happen, and that there's the sense of being, when you hear people talk that do a lot of those things, actually what I would say is that the sense of the self isn't even really there. It's just that there's such a
Mm.
in engagement, apparent engagement of what it is. And that's why those things can be really addictive.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like jumping off, base jumping, and like stuff, really high risk stuff.
Yeah.
If you listen to the people talk about them, there's just that what is happening,
Yeah.
and
I mean,
then
it's the
they
same with
can be
playing the
very
guitar,
addicted to
isn't
that.
it? You know, if you're there with the guitar, I mean, you're. It's not the same for you, I know, but for me, it disappears sometimes when the guitar comes out and it's just the notes and the fretboard and the fingers and
Yeah, I mean that can still happen. Like I mean, that's just it's everything. You know what I mean? It's everything. Like even if you hear someone like uh, it's everything. As you said in the beginning, you said something. It is. You listened to one of the talks and you said the amazing thing was it is also the yearning or whatever it was that I said. So it is everything. So if picking up the guitar and a feeling of just not being able to form a certain chord and a frustration around that, that is it. Do you know, whereas the individual, well, if I wasn't there now, there'd just be this beautiful outpouring of music and no frustration with it. So it's everything. It's just everything. But sometimes in music, you can true. Sometimes, as in the example I was giving, sometimes you can see where there's just a complete and utter being lost in it or whatever. Some people would call it being in the flow or whatever. Um, and then there's a curiosity about that and a fascination with that. How do you get out of your own way? It's of course it's impossible, but um, yeah.
mm, mm,
So this is about something very ordinary, very direct, and already the case. Nobody's going to fall away. Nobody's going to be liberated. Nobody. It's all concepts are just that. They're just concepts. What's being yearned for is ludicrously ordinary and simple, and already the case. It's been in playing the guitar, and they're just being the notes, and it's been frustrated as hell because you can't
yeah.
because you just can't find the note.
Mhm.
It was there yesterday. Where's it gone?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. We're kind of circling back to what you said in the beginning. It is that stunning realization that actually what was yearned for is simply whatever's appearing to happen. It's completely inescapable.
Mm.
There is no you and there is no there. There's nowhere to get to. There's no you to get there.
Yeah. What makes it painful then for like those emotions that you don't want? Why do you want to run away from those? Why can't you?
The individual just comforts. There's a comforting kind of uh, sense of this bubble of me, and then there's a sense of comfort in itself for the loss of wholeness, and a sense of pulling in comfort and pushing away discomfort. And in that, it's kind of it's pure dualism. It's that dualistic sense
Mm.
that the individual is that dualism of one thing is it and the other isn't.
But it's all it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Because all there is energy, and there is no you.
Yeah. So you just ride the rough waves as well as the good waves.
Well, if that's what it was, then this would be a different message, wouldn't it? And you'd be busily writing as I'd be busily telling you how to ride the rough waves.
Yeah.
And then I'd be saying, now come back to me, Richard, and we'll talk through how you rode that emotion.
Yeah.
It's so gorgeous. There's nowhere to get to with this. There's nothing to know. There's nothing. It's inescapable. It's not that there's nothing you can do. It's that there's no you to do or not do. And there
Mm.
never has been. And there's no other, obviously. There is nobody. It's very simple and obvious, too obvious.
Mm.
There you go, Richard.
But thanks. I've kind of taken up the whole meeting, I think.
Oh, they're a rowdy bunch. They'd just get in there if they weren't. They'd push you aside.
Okay.
They'd shoulder you aside, and you'd be gone.
Uh,
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You know, we could sit here. We sometimes apparently there's no we, but sometimes just sitting in apparent silence.
hmm.
Sometimes there's one person apparently talking.
Yakking away.
Yeah, I mean there was that you didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. It's there you go. So there you go. I'll get that up about Brighton. I think
Yeah.
I need to get
Great.
that up about Brighton. And someone only emailed me yesterday. I don't know how they found out about it. I'm not advertising it. I must have said it somewhere.
Yeah, that was me that emailed you, wasn't it? I did email, but
No, someone else as well. No, someone
Someone
else
else.
booked a place on it. Yeah.
Okay.
So it would help to have it up there.
Yeah.
And if you know any good meeting places in London, let me know. Or you know anybody who knows any good meeting places.
Okay, I'll
'Cause
do that.
I'm definitely up for going back to
Okay.
uh, I think 2 days would be fantastic. It's just such a hub for everyone, not only everyone in the UK, but for Europe even. Like it's really quite an easy place to get to.
Okay. I used to live in London. I mean, I know a few places in London. Know
Oh
people.
yeah, no, it doesn't matter. It just no, I'm not. You can
Yeah.
just if something pops up. I know other people who kind of know venues anyway as well. So
Yeah, sure. I know. Yeah.
there you go. Hang on, no, I'll just. Thanks, guys. Nice to see you. I put a separate email in around Friday afternoon. As I was saying earlier, I'll do probably 2 hours, 15 minutes in around that, and then break for half an hour. So it'll be kind of the afternoon, really, Friday afternoon. Put a link in there. Contributions much appreciated. Yeah, good to see you, Richard, and maybe see
Yeah.
you again. Who knows? Free fall.
You will see me again, no doubt. And thanks for your time and
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah. Thanks, everyone. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Kenna.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Richard.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.